RAID 0, RAID 1, or RAID 5? What's the difference, and why should you care? Hey, let's find out together. It's a RAID kind of day on this episode of the WD Creator Series. What's up, everybody? I'm Curtis Kingsley, and welcome to the WD Creator Series. Many of you out there are content creators. Whether you're a photographer, film editor, musician, or CG artist, all your work is most likely going to live on some kind of hard drive storage device. When you finally get that hardware and it's a multi-drive system, now you're faced with a big decision: how to set it up. Do you go RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5? Is your head spinning yet? Don't worry, because today we're going to talk all about RAID systems. And here to answer these radical RAID questions is WD's resident tech expert, Leonard Brewer. Leonard, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So Leonard, I have a question that I've been afraid to ask. Just what does RAID stand for?
RAID is commonly known as Redundant Array of Independent Disks.
Oh, okay. See, I thought that the I stood for inexpensive.
Originally that was true, but now pretty much everyone says independent.
Ah, okay, cool. Learn something new every day. All right, let's talk about different RAID types. I see you have some hardware here. What do you got?
Yeah, I brought some examples of NAS, or Network Attached Storage, that use RAID.
You also brought an example of a very handsome person that you're going to use to help us explain the different RAID types. Let's start with RAID 0.
Okay. RAID 0 is a minimum of 2 drives, also called stripe. And whenever you save information to it, it breaks the data up into chunks. And then it saves it back and forth between the 2 drives, also called sometimes an interweave. So it goes back and forth. Not perfectly in half like a lot of people think. It interweaves the data back and forth until everything is stored on those drives in the RAID.
All right, so that's 0. What about RAID 1?
So RAID 1's kind of similar. RAID 1 is also called a mirror. It uses minimum of 2 drives also. So you have your data here. Whenever you save it, it makes a copy of it and stores a copy on each drive. It's also called mirroring. As you can see, it's replicated across to the RAID. So if you happen to have one drive fail, you have your redundant there, not a backup.
Twice the handsome. I like that. All right, now the big one. What's RAID 5?
RAID 5 can get a little complicated. Let's clear this off here. So for RAID 5, you need a minimum of 3 disks. You usually use approximately 1 drive's worth of storage to what's called parity, which is a calculation that the unit does. So let's say you're saving your file to it, and just to make it simple, we'll start out with, just say you save your data here. It's a 1, a 2, runs a little mathematical, creates a 3. Let's say your second disk fails on you. It just reverses that calculation. 3 minus 1 is 2. Rebuilt that disk for you. In actuality, it does what's called an XOR logic calculation. So let's just say our data here is going to be, all of your data is 0s and 1s. So it's just a bunch of bits. It runs the XOR, so 0 and 1 is 1, 1 and 0 is 1, 1 and 1 is 0. Again, let's say disk 2 goes out. It reverses that XOR calculation. 0 and 1 is 1, 1 and 1 is 0, 0 and 1 is 1, and it's rebuilt it.
Okay, I think I get it. Now that we know how they work, how do I know which one is right for me?
The difference between them is speed and performance. So RAID 0, your stripe, is going to be your fastest. You've got your data spread across multiple disks, so reads and writes are very fast. Problem is, no redundancy. Your RAID 1, your mirror, it's not too bad on its read and write. It's duplicating the data, so it can still be pretty quick. RAID 5 is one where your writes are kind of slow because it has to calculate everything that's being put in there to create that parity bit. But your reads are going to be very fast. Just like RAID 0, it's reading off multiple disks at once, so it's very quick.
Now, let's say I have a disk fail. How long will it take for recovery in the RAID 5 setup?
RAID 5 can vary by size of the disks, number of drives in the RAID. I've seen anywhere from a couple hours to sometimes up to a week to do a rebuild.
Okay. 0, 1, and 5 we've covered, but what other types of RAIDs are there, and where would you use them? In business or security?
RAID's very popular nowadays. You do see it in security systems. Mostly it's in servers. Some people even use it in their standard desktops now. There are other RAID levels. Besides 0 and 1, there's also 2, 3, and 4. They're kind of rare. Also, there's a RAID 6. There's also some nested or hybrid RAID. which is combinations like 0 and 1 or 1 and 0, which is also called a RAID 10. And then there's also your non-standard, which are SPAN, JBOD, also called JBAUD.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing, RAID 0 is the only one without redundancy. Is that correct?
Correct, RAID 0.
All right, and remember, as we always say, RAID is not a backup. Thanks so much, Leonard. I feel smarter already.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's all we have for this episode. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And if you have any topics you'd like us to cover or questions for our experts, leave those below too. We want to hear from you. Don't forget to give us a like on all the socials and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more tips, tricks, and ideas to keep you creative. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.